So in this video, we are going to talk about 8 crucial signs you may be in limerence. And what you can actually do here is sort of see how many of these symptoms of limerence you may have. And if you're not familiar with what limerence actually is, limerence is essentially extreme infatuation to the point of it being destabilizing. And there's these 8 crucial symptoms that we're going to discuss here today that tend to really feed into limerence and what the experience of limerence might be. Now, sometimes when people are in limerence, they can make really irrational decisions. They can feel ungrounded. And it can actually cause a little bit of havoc if they're in a relationship and they ever happen to have limerence for somebody outside of the relationship, which is actually much more common for insecure attachment styles than you might think. And so it's really important to understand limerence and use tools that we'll talk about in this video today to understand the really powerful lessons limerence has for us and execute on those lessons so that we can mitigate limerence if it becomes unhealthy. Now, before I dive into these 8 major things, I just want to let you know that we're going to be picking up a bit of a project at the Personal Development School where we donate um, money and proceeds from our different YouTube videos. So in today's video, in honor of Pride Month, we are going to be donating to something called the Trevor Project, based on the views from this video specifically. So please like, share, subscribe, share this video, and we are going to be circling back and donating proceeds from this. And so we're actually also trying to come up with a list of 5 or so other charities that we can donate to on a monthly basis from different YouTube videos. So if you have any recommendations or preferences, let me know in the comments down below. And we're going to try to keep, a constant 5 or 6 on here every single month. And I'm really excited about that. It was actually a great idea from one of our team members. So excited to share that with you today. Now, if you have limerence, here's what you are going to see. Number one, you're going to see that you have really extreme romantic desire for somebody. That desire can be so strong, it can feel like it's actually destabilizing. And those romantic feelings would go way beyond just a normal crush or infatuation, but become a little bit of something you tend to ruminate about or obsess about to a certain degree. Number two, you might constantly hunger for more connection with that person. You may think about different ways that you could approach the person or talk to them. You might imagine out how those conversations would go and what steps you would take to improve the conversation and all the different scenarios. But essentially, there will be this constant feeling of hungering for what that person has or represents to you, which we're going to get into at the end of this video. Some really key golden nuggets that Limerence is telling you about. Number 3, you may see that you are obsessively or excessively fantasizing about the person. And one of the key factors of limerence is that you tend to actually build more of a bond with the person in the fantasy realm than in actual reality. And what this really represents underneath is that they are meeting some kind of unmet need, or you might be projecting onto them that because of what you've seen about them so far, they would meet some deep unmet need that you have. Or you may be really attracted to a trait that they're expressing that you're repressing. And again, we're going to get more into that stuff at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. The next piece, number 4 here, is that you may find that the crush and the infatuation is so strong, the limerence is so strong that your normal day-to-day patterns are affected. You may find that you lose your appetite, or you sort of eat nervously and you're constantly snacking on things. You may find that you have a difficult time sleeping or just kind of have nervous jitters throughout the day. And it's another big feature of limerence. And our next one is difficulty focusing. You may actually be sort of disturbed from focusing on your normal tasks throughout the day because you were so infatuated with this person, and you might just find this kind of constant or excessive rumination. The next big piece is you may find that if you're around the person, even though you've played out these really elaborate scenarios about what could go wrong, what could go right, that you actually get into a space where instead you freeze and you don't know what to say. And even though you planned all these things, you kind of just lose your words and clam up. And this tends to be a really big feature of limerence. And number 7, you may find that you are even avoiding the person sometimes because you fear rejection so much that you're so invested in the fantasy bond the idea that that could be shattered and that you could be rejected may actually cause you, like, when you, let's say let's pretend there's somebody at work and they're walking down the hallway towards you and you're walking down the hallway and you see them, you might dart into a room or just avoid them in this kind of panic mode. And often it can actually be the result of your subconscious mind trying to protect the fantasy bond. And number 8, you will absolutely idealize the person. So you may put them on this massive pedestal, think that they're just like, holier than thou, just have all their traits projected onto them, that they're just like almost perfect. How could you ever find somebody so incredible to be interested in? It can really be this idealizing. Now, what limerence is actually trying to communicate to us is that our subconscious mind is deeply trying to attach to this person. And when we get clear about the what, our subconscious mind isn't just trying to attach to the physical form of the person, the physical body. The subconscious mind may be physically attracted, right? We might have that biological component. But beyond that, it's like, well, why wouldn't you feel limerence for every single person you find physically attractive? And it's because the people that you find limerence around or experience limerence with will largely be individuals who, from your experience, you see either expressing repressed traits. So you see things about them that you're like, oh my gosh, they have this thing that I don't have. Maybe they're really good with their boundaries, and you're like, wow, they're so assertive and strong. And so in that case, you will infatuate that with that because it's a missing part of you. Now, it's not actually missing. You're probably just not actively nourishing that trait. And it's within your capacity to do so as a person. But if you have limerence for somebody, it usually means that you actually are repressing traits that you are seeing within them. And it's a call to action to really start integrating those traits. And then the other part is the needs that they meet. So oftentimes somebody can like maybe make you feel really seen in a brief interaction they have with you. And if you feel really unseen in relationship to self, or you feel unseen from your partner or from people in your life in general, you might really infatuate with that person who just briefly made you feel seen. And it's telling you about unmet needs that exist subconsciously that need to be tapped into, brought into the relationship to yourself, communicated in the relationship to others as well. So if you want to do a much deeper dive into limerence and actually healing from limerence and actually reconditioning limerence, then you can check out our limerence course for free for 7 days using the link down below. And it will help you really move out of limerence and understand the dynamics that are causing it to begin with, using the needs and traits components in a lot more detail with action steps, but also tapping into some of your stories about yourself that can create limerence, and something called the cost benefit tool that I talk about in different places on this channel, but that's also obviously in that course. So free for 7 days down below. I hope you enjoy, and let me know any other charities that you want us to donate to. I'd love to hear from you.